Hello everyone, I'm Rutuja Jori, Venture Services Manager at Altitude Accelerator. I'm here today at Collision Conference and I'm speaking with Mujir Muneeruddin, partner at Pallett Valo LLP. Mujir is a multifaceted professional known for his dynamic blend of expertise in law, entrepreneurship, and corporate strategy. With a background as a corporate and securities lawyer, as well as experience as C-suite technology executive and real estate entrepreneur, he brings a unique perspective to the table. Passionate about fostering growth in high potential businesses, Mujir has a proven track record of guiding startups, law firms, major real estate projects, and emerging public companies to new heights. Thanks for joining us today, Mujir.
Thanks so much for having me.
So, let's dive in. Outside of your law practice, you're also a real estate developer, entrepreneur who owns 500 acres of industrial land right by the US border, some of which you are working to create a large clean tech manufacturing facility, working with government and capital partners to do so. What inspired you to develop a clean tech manufacturing facility?
I think to take a step back, I mean, as a yeah, everything I do outside of my practice, I kind of see as my business portfolio, if you will. And I think any efficacious, effective portfolio needs to have different buckets. So you've got your fixed income, you've got your equity bucket, and I think law and professional services is a great fixed income bucket, in terms of not just the money, but the people you meet, great contacts, and it's good, stable. But I think as a human, I kind of see it incumbent upon all of us to get some sort of exponential return on our efforts to create exponential value for other humans. And I think if you can go beyond merely providing professional services and create something that is greater than the sum of your individual part, that's really where you want to be. And so that was kind of the inspiration behind it. I can't say that 10 years ago I signed up to do a clean tech manufacturing facility, but I think that's really the entrepreneur's journey is you know you want to do something transformative, you know you want to do something to change the world. You don't quite know how you're going to get there, but you've got that mindset from day one that no matter what, you're going to find a way to create something more than just you. And so that's kind of the inspiration and the journey of how we got to this place, if that answers your question.
Yeah, absolutely. Love your entrepreneurial mindset. Can you tell a little bit more about this manufacturing facility and what will happen over there?
Yeah, absolutely. So what we're looking to do right now is potentially build a electric vehicle battery manufacturing plant. So out of the 500 acres, you could probably allocate between 250 and 300, and those discussions are still underway. There's capital partners that would build the facility and lease it to, let's say, an OEM manufacturer that would show up as a tenant. Obviously, the government is going to be involved to provide incentives and whatnot. So it's a very multifactorial, multi-partite discussion that has a lot of moving parts. So that's where we want to go. I think Ontario is the ideal venue for something like this because if you look at the clean energy that we produce, it's greater than anywhere in North America, really, in terms of bringing, when you factor in the capacity, the output capacity for clean energy, as well as other facilities and infrastructure that we have. Our agents at Colliers International have said we're the best site in all of North America for this type of a facility. And I think that really speaks to Ontario and what we've built here over the last 15 years as a clean tech hub. We have clean energy, we have government programs that really incentivize that, and really a cultural mindset among the population that this is something that we really care about. And I think that's really the most important element to having something like that.
Thank you. I'm a passionate advocate of clean tech, so I wish you all the good luck with your endeavors. What are key factors you consider when guiding startups and high growth businesses to ensure their success?
Yeah, I think if I would have some piece of advice from having seen a lot of failure, if I can, over the last 15 or so years, I think, especially in tech where things are always changing. In real estate, for example, it's pretty stable. It's the same concepts that all humans have always employed in developing. But what I've seen on the client side and even some of the tech ventures that I've been involved in, the one constant is change, right? So you could set out on day one to do something that on day three is entirely obsolete, right? So you've got to employ a very healthy balance and mix between being true to yourself and leveraging the proteins that you've built, because there's always going to be something meaningful that you built, but reallocating those to pivot towards a new cause, right? Or reimagining yourself just enough that you can use and leverage the existing proteins, as I always like to say, in a way that moves you forward. Because where a lot of startups really go wrong is they try and reinvent from scratch, right? And for people that play games like Warcraft and Starcraft, every move that you make is you've got to economize, because if you make one misstep and you start going down the wrong rabbit hole, that could mean the difference between victory and failure at the end of the day, every step. So if you are going to have to pivot in a way that you've used your past as a stepping stone and not put yourself in a situation where you're starting at ground zero. So that's the first piece of advice that I'd always say from a business standpoint. From a legal, organizational standpoint, I think you really want to be able to forecast where you're looking to go in the next 5 years. Usually it's a transaction, maybe it's an IPO, maybe it's a Series A, maybe it's an exit. And you really can't start thinking about that early enough. You've got to be deal ready. I'm not saying from day one, but you want to be of the mindset that I want to be deal ready sooner in the process than later, because you never know when the opportunity is going to come present itself. You might have a person that walks in, loves your idea and goes, I'll finance you, and you're like, just give me a second, I got to get my books, and I don't even know who my shareholders are. And that's not where you want to be.
Perfect, thank you. My key takeaway from this is pivoting is the key to not just survive, but thrive. So thank you for sharing those insights. You have extensive experience working with high growth businesses and startups. As a seasoned corporate and securities lawyer, what are some of the common legal challenges that startups face?
Yeah, thanks. That's a great question. I think the most common thing is that, building upon the point that I made in the earlier discussion, is not being ready early enough in the process. So what that usually means is you don't paper your relationships with other people. So you start carrying dead weight on your cap table, right? Or you have a founder who's disgruntled because they no longer have the incentive to continue working, and that just creates a toxic environment. So you really want to, as we say in the law, good paper makes better friends. So you want to make sure, and this doesn't have to be on tree paper, it can be digital nowadays, so it's all good if you're not a paper person, but just get it documented so everybody understands where they stand, what the expectations are. The earlier you have those uncomfortable discussions, the better off everybody's going to be, and most importantly, the business long term.
That quote should be on a t-shirt. How do you advise them to navigate these issues to protect their interests and support their long-term success?
I don't know that there's one singular way that you do that, but I think the common thread that I've seen in all the successful startups and businesses that I work with is they're not shy to get the advice and the mentorship that they need at an early stage. The common mistake you see is people saying something like, well, when I get to revenue, that's when I'm going to start engaging other people that have been down this path. I'm going to bring on an advisory board. And the reality is, if you've got a tenacity, a twinkle in your eye, and you show the passion to do what you want to do, and you can honestly articulate that you've got a problem solution worth solving, I think any great entrepreneur who's successful wants to give back and who will want to believe in you and want to help you out. I think because a lot of people, when you see success, a lot of the truly successful people, they look around and they realize that they didn't do it on their own. They always had somebody, they always had, maybe it's a society that supported them, maybe it's an ecosystem, but you want to be part of that solution and giving back as opposed to the problem and trying to hog the puck, or so to speak, for yourself, right? So I think always get those advisors as early as you can in the process, because they're always going to drop nuggets of gold that you, as somebody fixated on the business and the solution, might not have been thinking about, right? So these are going to be all ancillary things that those entrepreneurs that were focused on the solution came across the hard way. And so you want to really leverage other people's mistakes, so you're only making original mistakes.
I have been reading this book called Outliers, and
Oh,
it
yeah.
tells the same story.
Yeah.
Any successful person needs a big support system, amazing background, and there are a lot of other factors which play in him being successful, him or her being successful. So thank you for sharing those insights and thank you for joining us today.
Thanks so much, Rituja.